Well, hey everybody. It's July of 2016, and I guess I'll do the what they call the 1-year review of the GS R1200GS Adventure. That is now 14 months old with 35,000 miles on the meter. Quick review of the accessories that I put on the bike. Almost all of them last year before the Alaska trip. First and foremost, it's a C. Bailey headlight guard, alt-rider radiator guards, and an alt-rider kickstand expansion foot. And why BMW doesn't provide those stock on every bike is beyond me, because you have to put those on, and everybody does, and it just makes sense. The headlight assembly is extremely expensive, and that's the cheapest way to cover it. I put on some highway pegs from Adventure Designs. It's an alternative place to put my feet. Since the Alaska trip, I've added these Denali LED driving lights for just a little bit more deer spotting coverage for all those early mornings that I spend on the road. On the Alaska trip, I had a spoiler on the windshield that was a Wunderlich one, and I just replaced it this summer with one from Twisted Throttle. It's an MRA X screen clamp on. This one, when it's, you can articulate it so that it's actually down all the way in front of the windshield. With the Wunderlich one, you had to keep the windshield in its fully lowered position because the spoiler was always up above the windshield, and if it wasn't all the way down, I'd be looking through it, which didn't work. It worked fine as far as deflecting the bugs in the mud, but I like having the windshield up a little bit higher and having that spoiler down in front of it. It does help a lot with buffet. What else is going on? Since last summer, I bought a new Garmin Zumo motorcycle, uber expensive GPS, to replace the automotive one, which had over 100,000 motorcycle miles on it and started to show its age. This is a different tank bag. This is a Wunderlich tank bag. I had a Wolfman for the Alaska trip. This one's just a little bit bigger. It can expand, which would be just way too full, but this has got a little bit more room in it than the Wolfman bag. This is the switch for the new driving lights. I've been using rock straps exclusively. Let's see, what else do we do? When I first got the bike, this is a Mudslinger inner fender. Again, why they didn't do that automatically to keep the mud from splashing all over the suspension, I'm not exactly sure. And there's an extension for the front fender as well to help keep some of the mud from flying off on the front of the engine case. That's the original fender. That's the one that fell off in Alaska, and subsequently had it reattached. The bags are the same on the sides, the pannier boxes, just a few more stickers. I've just added a couple of these dry spec tool tubes. For the cross-country ride this summer, one of those carries my disc lock and some extra bungee cords. The other one had a 500 milliliter fuel canister in it because I did not take the Rotopacks on this trip. I added this top case. As you recall, last summer the configuration of the bike had the pannier seat, the pillion seat was off, this rack was off, and I had alt-rider flat racks and the big bag of camping gear. The big dry bag for camping gear lived on that. I've since added some non-skid to the top of the pannier boxes because they're all scuffed up from the things I had strapped to them over the miles anyway, and now this stuff, just don't hit it with your bare knee. This summer's trip was pretty much as you see it right now, with a small dry bag athwart ships on the pillion for my hotel bag. I added a fuse block under the seat with power from the battery to power up the GPS and the lights. I added a harness for new electrically heated gear. My vest finally gave up, and I had to buy a jacket, and I bought the gloves as well. They've been coming in very handy. I like the bike. Say it's got 35,000 miles on it on my 4th set of tires. It's been across country a couple times now, and I just finished the Four Corners ride on it, obviously. This is the switch for the turns on power to the bus box, the fuse box under the seat. Normally you tap into a switched hot lead, but the CAN bus that is this motorcycle is sensitive to would notice the voltage drop and would send you a fault code. I did put handlebar risers on it when I originally had the bike. That's about it. This last summer's trip, the bike ran fine, had no issues, and it ran really fine all last summer too. The only problems I've had with this bike were a pesky electrical issue very early on, and it kind of went away mysteriously. It would not let you start the motor with the engine in gear and the clutch pulled in and the kickstand up. You could only and the kickstand's up. Yeah, it was supposed to be able to start it. It only start in neutral. That problem mysteriously went away, and the other one was a software upgrade that went bad and obliterated the Gear Shift Assist Pro, which allows you to shift up and down in gears without using the clutch. A feature that I became very, very enamored with, and was very, very upset that it went away for the entire return cross-country trip last summer. Other than that, the bike has run great. The richest custom seat was put on within 2 weeks of getting the bike, because the stock seat was absolutely unlivable. That stock seat is underneath there someplace. Those parts that are still there haven't been added to. And I just recently had the pillion seat recovered to match, just so it wouldn't look out of place, although my butt has shined this leather significantly more than the pillion. So that's about it, I guess. Running good. I got to admit that it was a long ride this summer on the Four Corners ride, 7,300 miles from Blaine to Key West via San Diego and Maine. A lot of heat, and I can't complain about the bike. It got me here. The seating position on this thing has your knees bent and your feet down underneath you, and on the long days that starts to aggravate my knees, so it's not quite as comfortable as the touring bikes, but it does a great job. So 14 months into it, 35,000 miles, cross country twice, Dead Horse to Key West in the Four Corners. No complaints.